Welcome back to Session 7 of the JA Career Success Program. In today's activity, you will need the table tents, the personal brand packet, the social media profiles. And once again, there are 3 profiles and then a spacer sheet. Each group of students will need one of each of these 3 profiles for the activity. You also need to have the Certificate of Achievement templates and the Career Success Toolbox. Today's activity is knowing your personal brand. It's really the culminating activity that brings all the lessons together to really get the students to think that even today they are building a personal brand, and that brand will stay with them into their future and into their future career. And so we want to encourage them to be building a positive and a strong brand today. The introduction asks you and encourages you to talk about brands the students already know about. Talk about some key companies and commercials and logos that the students are familiar with, and just talk about the different brands and what these different items are known for. One thing I did was I had the students, anybody who had a brand on their shirt, to stand up. And half the class stood up, and we ended up just talking about the different brands and what those different brands were known for that were on their t-shirts. That was the way I introduced this activity. Once you jump into the main portion of the activity, it's really allowing the students to be the HR department. This activity was so positive because it allowed the students to do a lot of self-learning. What they're going to do is they're going to get into small groups, and they are going to become an HR department that is considering 3 candidates to bring in to interview. So you're going to want to make sure to give each group of students, each student gets a personal brand packet, and each group of students gets one set of the social media profiles. What the students are going to do is they are going to work in their small groups to decide which of these 3 candidates they're going to bring in for an interview. And the way in which they're going to decide that is they are going to be ranking the profiles so that they can get a better picture of who they might bring in. So what you'll notice is the first page of the personal brand packet is a candidate evaluation form. And so this is where they're going to get to put their rankings and explain why they have chosen what they have chosen. The rest of this packet is a great resource for the students to take with them, in that it gives you cover letter tips, resume tips, as well as a social profile tips. So what I would do is I would have the students walk through this step by step. So I would first have them all open their social media profiles to the cover letter. Each candidate has a different one. One, they don't have a cover letter. One is very short, and the other one is a narrative. What you're going to do is you're going to ask the students to briefly review some of the cover letter tips, and then evaluate the candidates' cover letters as to what they think and how they feel about these different profiles. Once the students have 3 to 4 minutes to do that, I would bring it whole class together and have them point out what are some of the things that you noticed. Have them talk about the cover letters. Use this as an opportunity to hear from the students, but to also prompt tips and your own experiences about cover letters, and to fold in some of those cover letter tips that are provided in this packet in general discussion, so that the students can all hear and learn from one another. Then I would have them look at the resumes. And again, I'd have the students look at some of the resume tips on their own, and then I'd have them evaluate the different candidates, and then I would bring it whole group and have them talk about what they noticed, what did they like, what hindered them, what are they thinking, and when they're looking at these resumes. And once again, make sure that in this portion of the debrief on resumes, you fold in your personal experience as well as those resume tips that are provided in the packet. The final portion is the social profile, and this is something that is a hot topic for teenagers today. They are constantly on social media, and social media is changing so rapidly that oftentimes just as soon as all the adults get caught back up, they're on to the next thing. So what I would really encourage you to do is to get them to think about the importance of social media. Things that are online, even though you think you delete it, even though you think that you can take it away, once it's posted, you really can't get it back. And once it's out there, it's out there. So you want to stress that to the students. Oftentimes they don't think about that when they're teenagers, and how something that they post today could truly matter in the future. The other thing I would like to make sure that you have highlight is that sometimes it might not be directly something that they post, but it might be something a friend posts or something that they are connected to in a vicarious way that could potentially hinder and speak negatively about them in their future. So what I did is I had the students once again go through the processes, and what I realized was that a lot of times they intrinsically came up with some of those great aha moments that we were hoping that they would have. But after they have the time to evaluate the candidates, once again create that conversation with them regarding those tips and about some of those potential concerns that you've experienced. I would also stress that there are a lot of employers that are truly going to social media. They're Googling people's names, they're going on Facebook, and they are actually taking a look at these profiles, and that's a huge indicator whether or not they may be considered for the position. The other thing to stress to high schoolers that maybe is a little closer to home is that there are a lot of scholarship judges that are also looking at social media profiles. So in order to get scholarships and to win those applications, they might also be taking a look at their social media profile. I found this activity to be extremely effective. The aha moments and the intrinsic ideas the students came up with was really great. These profiles are really well laid out, and the guidebook gives you some great prompting tips in how to share and how to explain maybe some of the strong points and the negative points of each candidate. The thing to notice that is that at the end, whether or not they choose to bring all of them in or none of them, there really isn't a right or wrong answer. The goal of this activity was to get them to think about what HR departments are thinking and how they're evaluating. And you may use, you may have 5 candidates, or you may have 500 candidates, and how would that differentiate your qualification process? The other thing I did in this activity was that I had a couple groups that were a little bit off task, and they were talking to each other throughout the activity instead of focusing on their own work. And I used this as an opportunity to tell them about how important confidentiality is with HR departments. I said, "What? This is so confidential. You absolutely cannot be talking with one another during this activity, because what stays in an HR department absolutely has to stay there because of confidentiality." So that might be a tactic that you can use and reinforce the importance of confidentiality when it comes to HR processes as well. Today is the last session for the JA Career Success Program, so we encourage you to take a few minutes to do a wrap-up and a mini graduation with the students. There are templates on the Program Resource Center that you can print off the certificates of achievement if you would like to. A lot of times at the high school level, students kind of make fun of these, and they might not be as cool as they were in elementary, but we would encourage you to do some sort of graduation. Use this as an opportunity to encourage the students to do well in school, to get their diploma, to properly teach them how to shake hands and receive an award. You can hand out the certificates. You can decide not to do that, and instead you could hand out a special treat such as a piece of candy or something else. But we would encourage you to take the last few minutes just to wrap it up and to potentially ask the students what are some of the questions that they still have regarding any of these steps of career readiness. Ask them maybe what some of their favorite parts of the program are, what some of those top highlights will be that they will take with them into their futures. You will also want to make sure that they complete the remainder of their career success toolbox and make sure that they get these back, because all of the pieces that they have collected throughout the program really will be a great asset to them in their future. So maybe encourage them to tuck it away and maybe pull it out when they are getting their first job or as they're doing even scholarship applications. Some of these tips that they have learned along the way will be very beneficial even with that. Thank you for participating in the JA Career Success Program. If you could please take a moment to email the JA office to let us know that you have completed all 7 activities, that would help us out with our processes. The information will be following in the next slide. Thanks so much and have a great day.